Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again. The next session will be about the AI Act and the NIS2 Directive, which is, we can say, that gaining compliance to gaining competitive advantage to compliance. So let me introduce our speaker, Dr. Gergely Szabó. He's a partner at BAN Szabó, Rauch and Partners, brings extensive legal expertise in navigating complex regulatory frameworks, and myself, Laszlo. So please, the floor is yours, and I will jump in as you wish. Thanks.
Thank you for the opportunity. My plan is to make this session as easy and fun as we can, and be a bit interactive, because after lunch we just need to pump up a little bit. And I would really rely on all your insights and comments, especially for your insights as having tremendous experience on these fields. So let me not waste any more time. So I'm a lawyer, I'm a consultant. I've been working for our law firm BAN Szabó, Rauch and Partners for more than 15 years. When I got into the firm, my eyes were blinking. I wanted to change the world. And now, after some thousands or 10,000s of billed hours, I would like to make the world better for my family and the next generations. So for the next 30 minutes, you will be the 5th most important person in my life. So let us see the menu. We have 3 topics for today. One about digital transformation and AI. The second would be about the EU AI Act, and the third would be about NIS2 Directive and cybersecurity. So I don't know whether you can add some insights on these topics.
Yes, I think both regulatory frameworks has common, let's say, topics, at least. I think it's very crucial, but in the former years, the companies, especially the enterprises, forget about this very important task to conclude, which is the supplier chain management and supply chain risk. So AI Act and the NIS2 is also advise us, or not advise, but requires us to implement this kind of control measures which address the risk of the supply chains. And so this is one thing which is common in both. And on the other hand, we can easily find institutions, companies which are obliged to comply with both standards in the same time, as the University of Pécs as well. So I will share some insights afterwards. And I think it's very important that all these regulatory framework are for, as I mentioned before, for example, building trust. So building trust for the public and for our customers. If we implement such countermeasures and such frameworks, our partners will really trust in our procedures and how we handle the data and so on and so on. And last but not least, market differentiations. Implementing these kind of frameworks gives innovation enablement as well, just mentioning a few. But I would like to give back the floor to you, and please go on and please dive us together these frameworks.
Thank you. So it is true that we are living in an interconnected world with global supply chains, and a holistic approach should be made in terms of implementing any new tool into our corporate practices. And some of us might think that AI would be a good tool to play with, but in fact, most of digital transformation initiatives and inclusion of AI into practice fails, mostly because corporations are not concentrating on the smooth inclusion of these tools into their existing practices and on the focusing from client perspective and user perspective, but they rather just want to play with the new tools, and they expect that the new tools will make work easier, will require less workforce, and will change their words. But they don't investigate whether they need those tools at all, or whether they can use it for their own benefits, whether they fit into the corporate strategy. So, not just supply chains, but IT systems are also interconnected. And there's a dependence between systems and services. And there's a big threat of cybersecurity regarding the use of AI as well. So if we can jump to the next slide, which I hope, there are some unsolicited tips for digital transformation. Lawyers love to have unsolicited tips. We even more love it when we get money for that. So according to me, there are 3 steps of digital transformation. First is to modernize the systems and processes. The second is to get back my PowerPoint presentation to the wall, hopefully, because without reading I cannot tell anything. Okay, thank you. So the second one is the digital transformation, that we think about how the value chains can be fine-tuned and integrated, and the tools can be integrated into the existing processes to raise customer experience. And the third one is to create new business opportunities and foster innovation through digital transformation and AI. As I said, transformation and AI should fit into corporate strategy, and you shouldn't rush it. It's not about the first movers, it's about the smart movers. So there's no ultimate solution. We should tailor everything to the current needs of the corporation, and we can rely on consultants like me, but consultants should collaborate with the insider guys who knows the existing systems, the methods, and the requirements of the client. So, as I mentioned, we shouldn't focus on eliminating jobs. We should focus on how we can fine-tune processes and create new opportunities. So, and as the last point, before I turn to the EU AI Act, I would emphasize that we shouldn't take the regulations as another burden or as a pain point. We should see the opportunity in those sometimes dull regulations and not focus on the fines, but focus on our end users, on our clients, how to make the life better for them, and how to build resilient corporation or university for their benefit. So, turning to the main topics of this seminar, if you have any question, then please interrupt me. The EU AI Act. What is the EU AI Act? This is a new regulation. They say that it's the first comprehensive one in the world. They say that its aim is to boost the leadership of EU in the world of AI and trusted AI. But if you take a look at the main AI players in the world, you can see that those are not EU players. So actually, it's a product of a lot of debates and a lot of legislative works, which went on since 2021. And as each law, it's a compromise. It sets the boundaries of the market players, sets up the kindergarten, and tell them what tools can they use, how can they use their tools, and what would be the consequences if they don't use their tools properly. So, the legislator tried to have a broad scope of this regulation. It covers almost all players, and most importantly, even players from outside the EU who puts something on the EU market or the output of their AI is used in the EU. The good thing is that everyday users should not be afraid of this regulation, except if they use it for business purposes. For example, if I would have drafted all this nonsense with AI, then I would be subject of this regulation. So, speaking of some definitions, because lawyers love definitions, I would point out to the fact that the AI system is quite broad. It can catch all the different solutions. And the AI Act has a risk-based approach, differentiating between different systems and practices. And most of its text deals with high-risk systems. And most of the obligations are applicable on those systems. Another unsolicited advice would be that. And hopefully, people will be cautious while try to develop or use such systems. The Act differentiates between 4 categories: prohibited, high risk, general purpose, and low risk AI systems. And prohibited systems are totally banned from next February, the 2nd of next February. And one might think about how to build solutions that might not fit into this category, because some weeks ago someone asked me whether they can develop a system which recognizes the emotions of employees, like when they have their annual or, I don't know, monthly report regarding how happy they are with the employer. But having this emotion tracking is not accepted by the regulation. And there are some exceptions for that, for security reasons and for educational reasons. but all players should be crucial when they try to invest into something new. So speaking of high-risk systems, most of the rules catch those systems, and there are several requirements, and I would point out to the new cybersecurity requirement regarding those systems and the transparency and quality management obligations related to those systems. And well, we have some transparency obligations and general purpose AI models as well. And based on the...
May I?
Just thank you. I was waiting for...
Thanks. Regarding the transparency, I'm just what came in my mind that at this point, because of the transparency, it has a connection to the GDPR, because we have to inform the data subjects, which means that the data subjects have to be exercise his access right. Access to his data and data management and how it looks like, and that's why we can see an interconnection between these regulations, and this is a very good point. The transparency is one of the main pillar, or let's say requirements of the AI Act, and as well as the NIS2. So thank you. This is just one thing I wanted to add.
Adding to this, I would emphasize that, for example, in case of an HR software, we should be cautious from AI Act perspective. We should be also cautious from GDPR perspective, and regarding the national employment laws perspective and trade union perspectives as well. So it's like being an octopus and catching everything. It's really hard, needs some concentration and some advisors who can work for their money. So jumping to the next slide, you can see there that the bureaucracy with the AI Act raised. So new workplaces for good people in these agencies and boards, and actually significant sanctions are contained in the AI Act. But as I mentioned in the other room, it's not about the fines, the sanctions, it's about the consequences of such use or such violation. So if you don't have any question, then we can jump into the next topic. It's cybersecurity, NIS2 compliance, and another bunch of unsolicited tips and recommendations from my side. And well, it's a sexy topic, but it's a really important topic as well. I hope that most of the affected companies and corporations already did their notification obligations, and they comply with the relevant requirements, which is like a shifting target, a floating target, because before the Hungarian parliament, there's a new act which puts together two existing laws and has some funny new articles inside it. So it makes the life of affected companies and professionals, I won't say nightmare, but a bit worse. So my fellow panelists said that Hungarian legislation is really strict on this field. Actually, the requirements are based on the NIST standards, the US standards, and we have a Hungarian decree which is like almost 90 pages long, So some trees should be cut if we would like to print it out. And
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just the one remark for this last point. The NIS, the NIST 853 standard, which is an American standard for cybersecurity, and has a Annex D and has a lot of set of controls divided into three control categories, control classes. But this standard is not new in Hungary, especially in the financial sector, because the financial sector, banks and insurance companies are control frameworks are based on this American standard, and this is nothing new. Because the former jurisdiction, which was let's say the 50-es törvény, or I don't know, this is for the government bodies and entities, was based also in this American standard, so the control measures. So, thanks.
Yes. The issue is that the scope of NIS2 is much broader than regarding the relevant companies and sectors than the 50-es törvény, same in English, and some of the affected companies, for example, in the food industry or domain registrars, don't have a clue about the requirements, and they are totally afraid how to comply with them. So it's a task to do. So I try to make an easy checklist. Maybe you can correct me if I was wrong with that. Hopefully, everyone is after the registration and already identified their systems and classified their systems as well. And the thing is, the hard thing, besides the gap analysis that all the consultants are playing with and require clients to pay a hell lot of money for that, is to set up and operate a normal framework for the compliance and risk management. And it's not about downloading sample contracts and that's all, or upgrading the Windows XP. It's about administrative, logical, and physical measures applied to the reality of the given company, and not applied to that group of companies whose headquarters is in Germany or France, and really important big guys in Germany or France dictate what should be made in this small country, the small operation. It's about checking the local systems, checking the local threats, and try to find a cure for them. So, as you said, one of the most important things is to have supply chain security. As like ESG, because of the global supply chains, the legislator realized that there's a big threat coming from that side.
And sorry to interrupt, there is a supply chain attack. So this is kind of attack which is has its name. That's why it's very crucial to implement this kind of control measures which address the supply chain risks. And jumping back to the former slide, when we talk about the classification of IT system in Hungarian EIR, tehát elektronikus információs rendszer, sorry about the Hungarian words, has to be based on risk assessment, which means that it's not as exercise when we getting together and have a list of system and okay, this SAP system will be basic, for example, but it has to be after risk assessment. So get together, ask the CEO, ask the CEO and IT managers and the business owners as well, how he's feel about the system, what are the risks which are affecting. So, and at the end of this exercise, we will have a list of systems which are classified in the specific class. So, thanks.
Yeah.
Just one question, because I kind of talked with different Thank you. So companies affected by this NIS2 directive, and I heard some words that the audit fee will be based on the number of the IERs, elektronikus információs rendszers. And I see some interesting approach that they want to group together these IERs to pay less. So the question is, because I don't really see it regulated well, is there any possibility to group together IERs based on functions, or we should go deep into the asset list, like you said, talk with the CEO and make it as granular as we can? What is the best approach? What do you think?
One thing that they have a very special, they develop their formula how they will calculate the fee. So this is for me it's a totally mess, because I'm not a mathematician, and on the other hand, yes, we asked exactly the same question from our executive from the STFH, and the lady said it's possible, but I'm not sure that at the end of the day it will help. But I really agree with you, because I'm like the simplicity. And if, for example, we have a web partner portals or web applications, it could be logically to group web application in one group, and then if it's in the same infrastructure, based on sits on the same infrastructure, so it's logical to handle it as a one group. So I agree with you, but we will see after the first audits.
Yes. I would add that in the automotive industry, TISAX is the buzzword, which is an English word, not a Hungarian, and the approach of TISAX is different from NIS2, and we realized for many clients that they just have different small systems under TISAX. What we can bundle under NIS2. So it requires a different approach, a different mindset, and it makes life a hell if the two compliance are made in parallel.
And you mentioned TISAX or TISAX, so which I don't know whether everybody knows. TISAX is based on ISO 27001 controls. So if you have an information security management system in place, then you will be very lucky at the end of the day if you are obliged to NIS2, because STFH, which is the governing authority of NIS2 in Hungary, advise also to have an information security management system which is based on ISO 27001. So it doesn't matter which kind of control framework you will use at your company, but STFH, so the authority, identified ISO 27001 and NIST 853 as a good framework to comply with NIS2.
So jumping for the next slide, we also have here really high sanctions, but as I mentioned, the real threat would be the stop of producing, the stop of the company, and the associated face losing. And I would also point out to the fact that the measures must be approved and overseen by the head of the organization. So all executives should be aware of that and should beware of not complying. Jumping to the next slide, another bunch of unsolicited tips. So first of all relevant companies should be compliant for at least more than a month or less, I don't know. So, as I said, group level policies are not enough. Specific local measures should be made and tailored to the reality, and no sample policies, no advice from fortune tellers, hairdressers, neighbors, whatever, which is quite common in reality. It's not accepted. Compliance is not only about IT work, it's a combination of IT and legal knowledge. And well, it's a good thing to team up with IT people who have different mindset than lawyers. So, and last but not least, there would be an audit obligation. According to the new legislation which is before the Parliament, I think it would be, the contracting phase would be postponed until the end of March, which originally was the end of December. So each and every client wanted to contract all the lucky people who were admitted as auditors. And I would also point to the fact that there are different levels of auditors. Some are authorized to do the audit of basic things, some can do more. And the audit fees are, at least to my knowledge, not... Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt again. This is also something that I don't really understand. That for example, I have a client and these risk levels that we had to categorize the ARs are different. Some of them are normal, some of them are high, for example. And what is the case when you have several different categories, but there are auditors that are only obliged to audit the normal level? So I have to contract with two different auditors, or I cannot contract with those who has only normal levels, because in my experience in life, there are no companies with only normal and no high or critical level of risks.
I think it's practical to contract with only one auditor company, because who has the higher capability, quality to audit not only the basic but the higher classified systems as well. It's good to have only one team. I think it's very crucial, because if on the other hand, if you contract with two different companies, that you have two parallel projects who will ask almost the same questions from the same IT team, which is waste of time and effort.
Yes, I agree. What I really wonder then, what is the meaning of companies with only normal obligation? Because they won't get any work, because this is the only case. There are higher or normal, etc. So we cannot really contract with them, in my opinion.
Yes, my opinion is that that most of the companies would like to categorize themselves and their system into the basic level. So this is which the STFA, the authority, advised them informally as well. discussed with some executives at some conferences during we have our coffee. They advise it, but this is not official. So if you ask them, they will never advise it unofficially. So that's why by my opinion, there will be a huge number of organizations which categorize themselves to basic level. And after the first audit, there will be a raising maybe advice for raise themselves. So we will see. So that's why I think the auditor companies who just have a license only for basic audits will have a lot of work at the first year.
Yes, and one more practical point. As auditing itself would not be a good business, some of the auditors, when you approach them, they say that, okay, but only if we can do the preparation for the compliance, which I consider that it's a conflict of interest, because in case of normal world auditors, like financial auditors, whoever makes the books and records cannot be an auditor. So hopefully the regulator or the supervisory authority would change this practice, but this is what it is now. So the last bunch of unsolicited tips are the most important, at least for me. We should change the mindset of ourselves and our people, and feel the opportunity in the legislation and the bunch of rules. It's not about doing the paperwork, being good on the surface. It's about being resilient and think about how to get competitive advantage over our competitors on the market. So, if you have any questions or...
Just one thing I would like to add. I agree with you. I think we have to put the employees and the staff out of their comfort zone in order to face them that what are the risks which are valid to the specific organization, and what are the risks what we are facing as an employee as well. So that's why raising awareness is very important, by my opinion. And on the other hand, organize lab exercises, as we heard before in the former presentation, is also important. And I think it's raising the executive awareness about what we can gain at the end of the day by implementing this kind of standards and frameworks. Of course, we will have more resilient nature. I mean, the security level will raise on a level where we can easily find the incident and the bad actors. We can easily identify them, and so on and so on. This is just one example. So, thank you very much.
So it's adding to that, it's not a fire drill. Incidents are more common than fires at the workplace. And everyone should be prepared, should realize the costs and the possible issues associated with it, and have the right mindset. So if we can see the whole picture of these more than 30 minutes of presentation, we can say that if we are making a digital transformation or want to implement AI, we should think ahead. We should also think about how to be in compliance with cybersecurity, how to raise awareness, build our walls, and furthermore have a holistic approach and take into consideration data protection, sectoral regulations, and employees, as well as supply chain. Thank you.
And last but not least, we have to know our assets, know our data, what we have to defend. So, yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for your attention.